Mr. Barclay.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. As you know, I presented this subject, I guess it was 5 weeks ago now, at the public meeting, and I definitely respect your decision to kind of keep the record open for a period of time to allow, the effort of transparency to let the citizens give some feedback on this. And again, 2 weeks ago, we brought this before the work session, and at that time we had our economic development counterparts from the city of Cumberland was there, and also Councilman Caparelli came to talk a little bit about what they thought about the study. And so now, again, we're here at the public meeting, asking again for the Commissioner's authorization to move forward with this Phase 1 exploration of interest in the market study.
Okay, perfect. Looks like we have one constituent who signed up to talk about the stadium. Mr. Nelson?
Yep.
Would you please, sir?
Make sure you're focused in your camera.
Hi, Mark Nelson, 113 Decatur Street. Just some questions about the stadium. Commissioner McKay, you said at the last work session you would not spend county tax dollars on the stadium.
Correct, I would not.
Can the other two commissioners kind of send the same question, if they would spend county tax dollars on this?
Absolutely not. There's been no discussion in municipal funding of any stadium.
No, sir.
Okay. With that being the case, and knowing that the vast majority of these stadiums are publicly funded, why would you start the process of getting to that thing that you say you don't want? I just don't understand why you don't want it, but you're going towards it.
Because this would be a study to see if there would be anybody interested in coming to Allegany County.
And there have been stadiums in recent history that are privately funded. There are investors out there, and they're building multi-use stadiums. And it wouldn't necessarily be just a baseball stadium. There's not baseball games that could host a concert, could host a holiday shows. Could be privately funded project.
Okay. I mean, I know there are some. There's very few. The consultants you guys hired looked at some of their presentations, and the number is about 87% public funding.
Well, that should make you very happy then that the three of us have publicly said we would not.
Okay. If we're talking about getting a privately funded stadium, and if someone can afford a $30 or $40 million stadium, why can't they afford a study? It costs $7,500.
Well, because I'm not sure if it's what comes first, the egg or the chicken. We've not been introduced to anybody who's interested in funding a $30 million study. We don't know who if there's out there, if there is anybody out there. And I'm in the dry cleaning business. He's in the water and sewer business. He's in the plumbing business. And so we think it's important that our economic development director, who is not necessarily in the baseball business, but to see if there is any teams out there that may show an interest. So it's just not my expertise.
It's also like going fishing. Throw a bear hook out there, you get no bites. Put some bait on the hook, you might catch some fish. And all this would be, if we've got a team or two teams saying, yes, we would be willing to come to the area, this is what we would require, then you could go to developers and put it out to the market, where we have got interest in teams, this is what they're looking at, and then that would give those developers a little bit more information, a little bit more incentive for them to take a look at it.
Okay. The study that's being commissioned, will that be available to the public?
Absolutely.
Of course.
Okay.
I just don't know the timing of it.
Okay.
But we'll be able to get that to you.
The second phase of the study, which I think the estimate was $60,000, what specifically would trigger that second phase?
But we're going to have to first see what happens with one. Jeffrey?
Can I say something? Yeah. Mr. Malik and I did have the opportunity, actually spoke to Rich Newman, who was part of the team. We actually spoke to him this afternoon about this and basically just confirming in our own minds about moving this step further. And he instilled in us that by the end of this, just the exploration of interest in the market, that we would know pretty definitively if we should move forward with anything further. In other words, not only is he looking for just a team, but he's looking to see if it's a fit for us here, you know, Allegany County, Cumberland, and they're going to put together kind of a marketing package to see if, you know, see if it is a fit for us financially, if it's feasible. You know, at that time, we can then make that decision as to whether we want to spend another dollar towards this effort. But, you know, with spending the $7,500, I think we'll answer a 2-decade-old question here for Allegany County.
From almost word one, the reaction to this concept has generated, well, we're going to have to build a stadium. You know, Jeff, you played baseball. Mark, you have played. Both of you are almost got to the dance, but don't we currently have recreational assets on the ground that might be converted into something and done so reasonably if at some point in time there is some interest in our community?
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right, and that's something else we discussed today is, yeah, we've looked at sites, and, you know, if we get MLB affiliated team that's interested and we can put a financing package together, and these are all big ifs, and you're exactly correct, Mr. Nelson, that, you know, the vast majority of these things are, you know, they look for a lot of public dollars, and if we can put that together, then, you know, so be it. But, you know, if there's a lesser, if we can attract the MLB, and maybe if it ends up being an independent league team, then yes, the county does have property that it controls that could be, you know, brought into the mix.
Working partnering with Hotstove, possibly
Partnering with
Allegheny
Hotstove,
College of Maryland, Frostburg State
Partnering with the
University.
universities, you know, that could even generate some revenues, bringing in tournaments, kind of things to the area. So this is, again, is just looking for what if. We want to kind of show just what the possibilities are, and we're in the driver's seat on this. We, you know, we're going to be the ones that can make the decision as to where to go. That's what this study is just the first step to allow us to make those decisions.
I guess more for you.
Sure.
You said at the last meeting you would be looking for a serious written interest from a team. Is that still one of the triggers for the next phase of the study?
That is one of the studies, of course, is a letter of interest, but I think it does go much deeper than that.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out what the decision is going to be made to go to the next phase of the study, what that's going to be based on.
It's going to be based on data. It's going to be based on data, the financial realities that have to go into this. We're going to have to look at all that material to make the decision.
I mean, I've done a lot of research on this company and what they do, and their mission is getting stadiums built. So it's very, very unlikely they're going to come back with a study that says, don't build a stadium. That's
Well, I can rebut that though too, because I don't think it's in this group's best interest to build a failed stadium. You know, that's not good PR for them either.
Well, it doesn't really matter what happens after the stadium's built. That's not their end of the deal. Then it's on the taxpayer. They come to town, they get the stadium built, they get
And
paid.
Mark,
Yeah, one of the, and understanding that the group that's doing the study, they do have a long history with Major League Baseball. They have a reputation with Major League Baseball. And if they're doing projects that damage that relationship they have with baseball, it will damage the relationship they have with communities trying to attract baseball. So it really isn't in their best interest to do a study that says, well, we're looks like it's good for you guys, and it's not really good for you guys, and they bring in a major league affiliate, and they damage their relationship with that affiliate. That really isn't a wise move.
That's what
And they do have that
I really do get the feeling that they're looking out for our best interest in this study, and if it comes back and it, I mean, yeah, it could be likely that they come back and say, this is not a good fit. This isn't gonna work.
Right, and I'm quite sure they're looking out for these teams as well as us, and if their study shows that this team can't support, this area can't support a team, they're not gonna make a recommendation that that team moves into the area knowing that it's not going to be successful. Because then the next team is not gonna wanna listen to any study that's performed by this group. But it's sort of like what he's already said, you know, the phase 1 study, we're almost gonna have to see exactly what's in it before we know anything about a phase 2. There may be stuff in that study we've never given any thought to.
Do you have any other questions, Mr. Nelson?
Yeah, has it been made clear to the consultants, I mean, in our communications with them, do they know that we will not be putting county taxpayer dollars towards the stadium?
I've not expressed that to them.
Okay, I mean, if that's our intent, shouldn't we be expressing that to them so they know what the situation is here?
I will say, we have shared that feeling with the consultants, that what the political atmosphere of that is at this point. Not sharing, no public money into this thing. And they said, we'll deal with that when when you look at the study and you can come up with the finances. In other words, we don't have they need to do this study to see what kind of private dollars we can get involved in this. Until that time, we're just basically taking a good guess at this point.
At the end of the day, this is a 20-year idea that finally we're actually hiring experts to determine if it is something that we can support.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that kind of an indication of the level of support that exists? If it's been going on for 20 years, you have a group that's been trying for 4 years to raise $7,500 and they failed. Doesn't that indicate that it really isn't viable?
No, because they aren't the experts, and we're hiring the experts.
Well, it's not about the experts, it's about support. I mean, if in 4 years they can't come up with that amount of money.
I don't know all the information about that. I do know that I've received one phone call, and I've had numerous emails or conversations with you.
Okay.
That's it. No one else has had any negative whatsoever. So, I can only share with that.
Okay, I mean, I'm not so much worried about this study because it's not a lot of money. I'm just looking down the road at the sort of debt that these stadiums incur.
We definitely hear you, Mark. We hear you on that side.
We'll
deal with that
I think you just sat through a budget presentation where in the 3.5 years we've been in, we've taken debt service from $5 million down to about $3 million. Now it's going to get the bump for the school. So I think that shows you this county doesn't have the stomach for putting this county back in debt. Nothing to do with anything like that. It's a very tight budget that you just saw. We can't be throwing around $60 million to build a failed stadium. So
And I would assure that our bond rating, which was just announced being upgraded, would be downgraded if we made some form of a decision like that.
I mean, I hope we're on the same page. It's just, there's a lot of towns who have done that, towns who think of themselves as fiscally conservative, who have gone into massive amounts of debt. Aberdeen, Harrisburg, places where they have to cut services, Harrisburg and bankrupt. So, I mean, that's my concern.
Or Hagerstown, who decided that the team's leaving.
Right.
So here's an example of the opposite. So,
That's all, thank you.
wonderful, thank you, sir.
Thanks, Mark.
Any other comments? Okay. Alrighty. Okay, Commissioners, I'd like to move that we move that the Board of County Commissioners authorize the county staff to award a contract to Brails, Ford, and Dunhiven not to exceed the amount of $7,500 to perform a Phase 1 exploratory of interest study. Is there a second? Second. It has been moved by Commissioner McKay, seconded by Commissioner Brody. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.